pandemic-era burnout, low pay, job demands, and political and social issues surrounding education. Many say administrators are often more of a problem for them than the students.
Beyoncé's fans noticed something was missing during her concert in Foxborough, Massachusetts last night. She left Lizzo's name out of her tribute to female greats after 3 of the rapper's dancers sued her for alleged weight shaming them and pressuring them to participate in sex shows in Amsterdam. Beyonce repeated Erykah Badu's name instead. The Dow now down 187, S&P off 37. This is CBS News.
If you need to hire, you need Indeed. Their end-to-end hiring system helps you attract, interview, and hire candidates all in the same place. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
With news on WAUK The Shaw, I'm Stuart J. Waddles. Poor management is being blamed for the closure of a national company with local hubs.
Almost 200 Milwaukee employees of the trucking company Yellow were going to be reassigned to Oak Creek. However, they're now out of work. The massive trucking company isn't making enough money, is filing for bankruptcy, and shutting down. That impacts 30,000 workers across the country. Pete Schwaba, Civic Media News.
A Germantown man and former CEO of a real estate investing business has been sentenced to 16 months in federal prison for defrauding over 20 people, resulting in at least $2.2 million in losses. The Wisconsin State Fair starts tomorrow at the fairgrounds in West Allis. Headliners include Alabama, REO Speedwagon, and Ludacris. The fair runs until next Sunday. With news on WAUK The Shaw, I'm Stuart J. Waddles.
Whether you're grilling burgers at the cabin or roasting hot dogs around a campfire, Village Hearth and Artisan Hearth buns and rolls are a summertime essential. With so many varieties to choose from, including classic white and wheat, unsliced old-fashioned, brioche, gourmet French, and flavorful onion, Village Hearth and Artisan Hearth has the buns and rolls your family will love. Village Hearth and Artisan Hearth, baked locally and delivered fresh daily.
All right, folks, let's get started. Parents, thanks for coming. As many of you know, I'm Coach Mather. Tonight, I want to talk about the season, of which I only have one expectation, that everybody gets stronger. When I say get stronger, I'm not referring solely to physical strength. Sure, we'll be in the weight room, we'll be running stairs, but we're also going to focus on developing mental toughness and grit, because those are the characteristics that allow us to achieve greatness both on and off the court. So how do we develop those things? By getting comfortable with a challenge, by cultivating the confidence necessary to overcome adversity in all forms. That's why I coach. That's my purpose. Every member of this team can lean on me, and I'll teach them how they can lean on themselves and each other.
This message presented by the WIAA and the Wisconsin Athletic Directors Association.
It's never personal, only politics. The Devil's Advocates Radio.
I'm sorry, I'm really riled up this morning. Why is that a thing? How can that be a thing?
Yeah, it shouldn't be a thing.
Just what I want to swear. I want to swear so badly.
Moving Wisconsin forward, one joke at a time. This is Kristen Bry with As Goes Wisconsin.
Yada, yada, yada.
Hello, Wisconsin! What? Oh, what will you do if Trump was reelected? It could happen.
Yes, it could.
844-967-2789. Seriously, think about it. I'm sure we have some listeners who would celebrate and who are hoping that that is the outcome. But I think realistically, for our listeners who really do not want that to happen, what would you do if he was fairly reelected? Especially in light of the newest indictments that came out yesterday.
Yeah.
You know, we pick our spots when we talk about the former guy because there's plenty of coverage to there's a lot of shows on this network that like to talk about it a lot. Obviously, almost every network out there talks about it a lot. So we find other things that we like to talk about, but sometimes every once in a while,
It's a big story.
it's a big story and we can't not talk about it. And yesterday qualifies as it's too big not to talk about. Because yesterday, former President Trump was indicted again on federal charges over his efforts to subvert American democracy and overturn the results of the 2020 presidential election, which he lost.
Yes, he did.
It's his third indictment. It's the third indictment brought against him. He now faces a total of 78 criminal counts and a $40 million and growing legal bill. Before this year, no other former U.S. president had faced criminal charges.
He's got a lot of firsts on his record.
Got a lot of firsts. So how did we get here with at least the indictments that came down yesterday on the January 6th case? So as you probably remember, the January 6th committee, the House held a series of hearings on the events that led up to the Capitol insurrection on January 6, 2021. And they released their report. And days after Trump announced his intention to run for 2024, Attorney General Merrick Garland appointed special counsel Jack Smith to investigate. Side note, does Jack Smith and Hunter Biden kind of look similar?
A little bit.
Enough that if you're not you're not following the case enough that you're like, which one is that?
They both have the kind of scruff going on there.
Got a tall, lean, looking guys. Because I saw pictures like, no, that's Jack Smith. That's not Hunter Biden. Because I literally thought for a second in all of the coverage that came out yesterday that someone, because obviously Fox was running so much Hunter Biden stuff instead of talking about this. And I was like, did someone just tweet out a picture, like put out the image of Hunter Biden on the Trump headline? And I was like, oh no, that's Jack Smith. Never mind. Roll it back. Anyways, so speaking of Jack Smith, what did he find? Basically that Trump and 6 unnamed co-conspirators allegedly worked to reverse the election results. And that those efforts ranging from privately contacting state officials, like in Wisconsin, to public statements undermining the 2020 results, have 3 different crimes: defrauding the U.S., obstructing a government proceeding, the January 6th election certification, and working to deprive people of their civil rights, basically their right to vote. Smith also charged Trump with trying to obstruct the investigation into all of this. So basically, among other details that came out in the indictment yesterday, it recounts that Trump's alleged attempts to pressure then Vice President Mike Pence to overturn the election results. What did he say? You're too honest?
Yes, you're too honest.
When Pence said he did, no, I don't want to do that.
And I don't have the authority to do that.
And then as well as how Trump and his co-conspirators allegedly organized fraudulent electors in 7 states. We know one of them being our state of Wisconsin, but also Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, New Mexico, Pennsylvania. Michigan being the only one that has had any kind of legal movement on pressing charges against people in their state who were part of this. So what now? Trump appears in court today. I think it's scheduled to be 4 p.m. And he, of course, has dismissed the indictment as election interference, and they're calling the charges fake, and is wondering why it took 2.5 years to charge him. But the important thing to remember is he can still and is running for president. There is no precedent for what happens if a sitting president is convicted for a crime. So there's a chance that he could also get elected after being convicted of a crime and serve as president. And he very, very, very much has a lot of Republican support. On Monday, a New York Times Siena College poll found that he was demolishing the field for the Republican domination. He had 54%, and the next closest candidate was DeSantis at 17%.
Youch.
So I ask again, what will you do if he gets reelected? 844-967-2789, because it's looking more and more likely that there is a chance that we will have a candidate who will be convicted as charged for a variety of different charges and will still cinch the Republican nomination. And it could be a very close general.
For sure.
And in light of this, of not accepting the election results, what do you do as a person who does not want him to be president if he gets fairly elected?
844-967-2789. You can call and or text. Text from the 541. I'll do the same as I did the first time he was elected. Shake my head, not hire a hitman, and hope not too much gets screwed up in the meantime.
Yeah. I mean, what did I do last time? I went to the Women's March. That was like incredibly peaceful, and there was like no police there.
Right.
But do you not accept the election results? Do you storm the Capitol?
Use the same playbook against.
But the political reality here is that so many Americans, and I hear them call into our show, different shows on the network, have so little trust in our institutions, including the FBI, including the Justice Department, the Supreme Court, and even now there was a poll this week on not trusting the military. So our institutions, and as far as like our belief in them, is crumbling. And so, not to mention people's trust in media. So what is the truth ever? And so, these charges are not going to stop Trump. And the allegations have been flattened to just mere political fodder, right? Like there's just people who are convinced that this is a witch hunt, that this doesn't matter, and are gung-ho Trump 2024. And there's enough of them that he will likely get the Republican nomination. There's nothing out there to make anyone believe, besides their own suspension of disbelief, that he will not be the Republican nominee. And so it's like the reality of this is basically, it's not even just our political unrest in our country, but it's also just the strength of how partisan everything is. And it's so intractable that they can't even be moved when this much evidence comes to light.
And this evidence, by the way, isn't coming from Democrats. This evidence is coming from people who served in his administration.
Mm-hmm.
It's really important to remember that. The man who said he hired only the best people, he surrounds himself with only the best people. A lot of these best people are the ones who have testified against him. And we'll have the opportunity to see that evidence when this goes to trial.
And so it just feels, this feels incredibly heavy in the sense that it is, to me, so obviously laying out a choice of do we, who, I think this was in a New York Times article I wrote, I wish.
You'll get there.
I read this morning, and it said, can a sitting president spread lies about an election and try to employ the authority of the government to overturn the will of voters without consequences? The question would have been unimaginable just a few years ago, but the Trump case raises the kind of specter more familiar in countries with histories of coups and juntas and dictators. And it's hard for me not to think that if we as a collective, and obviously it's not we as individuals, but we as a collective reelect this guy, that's not what we're headed towards. That there is no consequences for basically saying, I don't care that I lost this election. I want to stay in power. And because I have enough people that have my back, we're going to do it. And that we become like so many of these other countries that have unstable governments. And then like, this is a crossroads for us. And it's not very clear what we're going to choose.
Well, and one thing that has always, at least in my estimation, really set America apart is the peaceful transfer of power.
I was thinking about that. I was going to tell you, it's like, oh, can you play the Hamilton song when George Washington? If you can find
If I
it,
can find it.
Well, maybe we get the bump music on the way back, because that's exactly what that song's about. It's exactly what the entire thing was. Is like people wanted George Washington to be king because that's what they knew. And goes, no, that's not the point of what we're doing here, folks.
Yep, that's not America.
So we'll go to a break right now. Would love to hear your thoughts on everything that came down yesterday. If you have an answer to what will you do if Trump is reelected, I understand that's a pretty hard pill to swallow. Maybe you're not ready to think about it yet, but 844-967-2789. It's 844-96-PARTY. We'll keep talking about this on the other side of the break. This is As Goes Wisconsin.
This summer, 5:40 a.m. WAUK has a new lineup. Yes, that's awesome. Starting at 6 a.m. Up North News, 8 to 10, The Earl Ingram Show. Mondays, 8 to 9, Under the Helmet with the Gravedigger, Gilbert Brown and Earl Ingram. 10 to 12, As Goes Wisconsin. At noon, Civic Media Network News. At 12:15, Town Call. 1 to 3, The Todd Alba Show. 3 to 4, Matt Flynn Direct. 4 to 6, The Devil's Advocates with Dom and Cruz. And 6 to 7, The Maggie Dawn Show. On 5:40 a.m. WAUK.
She's the newest of 7 elected Wisconsin Supreme Court justices. Janet Protasewicz begins her 10-year term in August when she is sworn in. It's a long-time tradition which includes use of the court's seal created in 1848. But did you know it features the scales of justice, but not carried by a blindfolded Greek goddess? Instead, a hand holds the scales, representing justice is in human hands. It also means everything is official once the seal is stamped on any court documents. For Civic Media, I'm Terry Barr. Flowers, vegetables, and crab apples, some of the first Marathon County Fair attractions, and showed us proof those crops could grow there. Started in 1868 by the Agricultural Society, the Wisconsin Valley Fair in Wausau began as a place to buy and sell those types of goods. Today, it's considered one of the best in the state, featuring displays, demos, and big-name entertainment included with the price of your ticket. The Wisconsin Valley Fair runs August 1st to the 6th in Wausau. For Civic Media, I'm Terry Barr.
Here's your updated forecast on the Shaw. Sunshine mixed with clouds at times this afternoon with highs around 87. Southwest winds 8 to 15 miles an hour. Lows level off around 65 tonight, partly cloudy. Sunshine mixed with clouds at times again tomorrow. Slight chance for scattered storms, 90. Partly cloudy skies Friday with highs in the low 80s. Chance for scattered showers Saturday. For Civic Media, I'm meteorologist Eric Height. Currently, it's...
Hi, she is Jane Madnair, and we are taking your calls and texts on your reactions from yesterday. I don't know how you would have avoided hearing about Trump's latest indictment, the third one, this one, regarding the January 6th insurrection and his involvement in that. And, you know, I'm asking if you've thought about what you will do if he is reelected, because that is a real possibility,
For sure.
considering the man has 78 different charges against him, and his numbers are only growing. And I guess for any of our conservative or Republican listeners who are, and this is a real question, this is of why Trump over any of the other candidates who are running? Like, what is your allegiance to him, or why do you think he is such a better candidate? That obviously, I'm not assuming that you would ever want to vote for a Democrat, let alone Joe Biden. But as far as, it's a pretty heavy field right now. There's a lot of people in there. And knowing the baggage that comes with Trump and knowing he's facing these charges, he's going to go through these court cases. What is the adherence to Trump or no one? 844-967-2789. Yeah. Do we have a call?
We do. We have Ross on the line from Crawford. Good morning, Ross. What do you think about all of this?
Hey, good morning, you guys. So back in 2016, when Trump won the first time, I was a fairly clean-cut, 60-year-old guy, whatever, right around that age. And I just didn't shave and didn't get a haircut for 4 years. And it was sort of funny because people would look at me and I would tell them, other people would look at me and say, oh, God, there's this old gray-haired Santa Claus-looking guy. After Trump got out, I kind of held on to it for a while because I thought, boy, this country still seems kind of crazy. Eventually, I got a haircut and kind of cleaned myself up again. And then I'm like looking at that same poll that you guys saw yesterday, and I'm thinking, like, what do I do this time? And I'm thinking, when I talk with Republicans or people that if the politics comes up, and I try not to always go there, but if it comes up, I want to learn how to tell the people with a smile on my face, but I want to tell them that they're crazy. But I'll do it with a smile on my face, and otherwise I don't know what to do. It's just so crazy.
I like that your form of self-protest is, I'm not going to shave, I'm not going to cut my hair. This is because you got to do what you got to do, right? How's it hanging right now? Is it long or is it short right now?
No, I ended up getting it cut about a year or so after Trump was, after Biden was elected, and I kind of thought, okay, maybe we're kind of back to a reasonable course for our country. And so I cut it, but now I realize this is our country. I mean, people are, this is who America is, and it's just like, So I think the trick is just to kind of tell people that I think you guys are crazy as anything can be, but I'm going to try to do it in the nicest Wisconsin way possible.
I like it. Thanks for the call, Ross. And it's interesting because I feel like if he gets the nomination, I think it becomes a repeat of 2020, and there's just people who are not excited about Biden who can't stay on the sidelines. Like, it's such a choice that people are not excited about. I understand, but as far as, I just don't know how you look at the existential threat that this guy poses as what he's willing to do to put himself above literally everything and think that it is a good idea. And this is not a Republican thing, at least not for me. This is a Trump thing, as far as this guy can't be in office again.
And I'm sorry, I think it's important for people to remember also that even 7 years ago, when he lost the Iowa caucus to Ted Cruz, that was fraud too.
Yeah.
Everything is fake when he loses. Everything. 844-967-2789, 844-96-PARTY. Julie from Kenosha. Good morning, Julie. What do you think?
Good morning, ladies. This is what I really think. Number one, people of his party really believe that that's their God. Okay, well, I don't. And number two, if he makes it, I fear that there will be, he said he would rule as a dictator.
Mm-hmm.
That's scary. And then the other thing would be he's going to change all the laws. He's going to unleash the prisoners that are in there now. And I believe there would be persecution the way this is all going, especially like in the end times. But the thing is, I don't believe, I mean, I do believe once he's in, he's never going to get out. He'll be president for the rest of our lives. That's what I fear.
Well, and what I fear is that there continues to be enough people who are complacent enough to go with it, because there's people who know better, but they're so right. They see the numbers, they see the polling, they see where the base is, and like they can't choose country over party. They can't choose country over winning. And so the fact that it continues that, like, if he were to get reelected, there's still enough yes men out there who will empower him and not say, like, not step down, not like leave it just for him to, like, enough rope to hang himself. I don't always like that expression, but I'm thinking, but yeah, so I don't know, but we got to go to a break, Julie, but thank you so much for the call. We'll keep this going after the break. 844-967-2789. This is As Goes Wisconsin.
Starting at 6 a.m. Up North News, 8 to 10, The Earl Ingram Show on 540 a.m. WAUK.
CBS News Brief. The Dow's down 216 in early trading, a day after Fitch made a surprising move to lower the U.S. credit rating a notch. What have we lost? CBS News business analyst Jill Schlesinger.
Being rated at AAA essentially means that investing in debt of the United States is considered to be risk-free.
The guessing game's on after the indictment was unsealed in former President Trump's case, accusing him of lying to stay in power. It mentions 6 co-conspirators, but not by name. His attorney tells CBS News Rudy Giuliani appears to be among them. CBS's Ricky Kleeman.
This may be just a little push toward any of the 6 to say, okay, I didn't name you. Here's your chance. Come on down.
In Portugal, the Pope has arrived for World Youth Day.
This gives us hope and joy that we are stronger as a group and in our faith.
CBS News Brief. I'm Deborah Rodriguez.
Your hometown radio, refreshed, keeping you informed, entertained, and connected on the Civic Media Network, civicmedia.us.
With news on WAUK The Shaw, I'm Stuart J. Waddles. A Waukesha County health clinician will ride with Waukesha police in some police calls. The city announced yesterday what they call the Crisis Response Unit. The team pairs a crisis clinician from HHS with a specially trained police officer to respond to mental health-related calls for service. The goal is to offer faster, more effective assistance to individuals in a mental health crisis and connect them with the appropriate resources. A former Oak Creek High School teacher accused of having a sexual relationship with a student is seeking to keep her discipline records confidential. Rachel Goodall has filed a lawsuit to prevent the release of public records concerning her past behavior. That's according to Fox 6. The alleged incidents include relations with a student inside of a classroom last December. With news on WAUK The Shaw, I'm Stuart J. Waddles.
Larry, it's your mom. Did you know the Civic Media Network covers the whole state of Wisconsin? They can help your business get the word out, whether you want to reach a smidge of folks or just want the whole kit and caboodle. Call 608-819-8255. Okay then, bye.
All right, folks, let's get started. Parents, thanks for coming. As many of you know, I'm Coach Mather. Tonight I want to talk about the season, of which I only have one expectation, that everybody gets stronger. When I say get stronger, I'm not referring solely to physical strength. Sure, we'll be in the weight room, we'll be running stairs, but we're also going to focus on developing mental toughness and grit. because those are the characteristics that allow us to achieve greatness both on and off the court. So, how do we develop those things? By getting comfortable with a challenge, by cultivating the confidence necessary to overcome adversity in all forms. That's why I coach. That's my purpose. Every member of this team can lean on me, and I'll teach them how they can lean on themselves and each other.
This message presented by the WIAA and the Wisconsin Athletic Directors Association.
This summer, 5:40 a.m. WAUK has a new lineup.
Yes, that's awesome.
Starting at 6 a.m. Up North News, 8 to 10, The Earl Ingram Show. Mondays, 8 to 9, Under the Helmet with the Grave Digger, Gilbert Brown and Earl Ingram. 10 to 12, As Goes Wisconsin. At noon, Civic Media Network News. At 12:15, Town Call. 1 to 3, The Todd Alba Show. 3 to 4, Matt Flynn Direct. 4 to
And we are wrapping up our conversation around the latest indictment for Donald Trump that came down yesterday evening. That is,
it's a big one.
Pretty damning, but also just, I think makes, I don't know, the documents is, I know I'm not saying it's not a big deal. Paying off Stormy Daniels, I'm not saying it's not a big deal, but this is just such a bigger deal. And yeah. And so you said we had a couple of good texts.
We do. If you want to check in, 844-967-2789 from Jack and the Mac, Jack from Merrimack. People who dismiss the latest indictment need to realize that during Trump's second impeachment trial, Republicans believed he was guilty, even though they voted for acquittal. Mitch McConnell even said on February 26th of 2022, quote, "There is no question, none, that President Trump is practically and morally responsible for January 6th, unquote." McConnell also said he voted for acquittal essentially because the criminal justice system is the one that should deal with it.
And they are.
Yes.
But it is interesting, had they actually impeached him, they being the Republican Party, wouldn't still have to be dealing with him right now.
Absolutely.
And I don't know if they regret that or not, but as far as, swing states, including ours, walking this line between, we know that there's still a lot of support for Trump, so we kind of have to support him, but we're also worried about if he could actually win in the general. And so where are we the party of MAGA? Are we the party of trying to expand and bring more people into the party? They're now like adopting early voting, and
which I just can't believe that that's not going to boomerang back and hit him in the head. Now we love it. Please vote early. Go. It's fine. It's safe. Go. John from the Menominee Falls. I've always said you can't fix stupid. If Trump wins the nomination of the Republican Party, which he probably will, there will likely be 40 million Americans that still vote for someone who has been indicted for committing conspiracy against the American people, has been found guilty of sexual assault. He's been reported to have more than 30 NDAs with women for sexually inappropriate behavior. He has been questioned by his employees at Trump Tower for his racist policies of not renting or selling condos to people of color because, quote, "you wouldn't want to live with them either," unquote. And he's managed to go bankrupt 8 times despite being given hundreds of millions of dollars from his parents. I guess I'll have to vote for the only president who has ever done anything to address climate change, who is incentivizing manufacturing in the U.S. again, and has managed the economy better than pretty much every other nation on the planet coming out of COVID.
Yeah. I mean, that's a whole other thing as far as people's desire to not vote for Joe Biden versus, I would say, maybe looking at his actual record. But it just doesn't matter, right? Like, it just feels like people's there's enough people out there who just don't have faith that any of this is real and that it's worth anything, and that Trump is still their guy. And there's a lot of those people. And so we can't just put our head in the sand. And I think this is also a crossroads for the media in how they choose to cover Donald Trump as a presidential candidate that is not a normal presidential candidate. And I don't know what those internal discussions will look like as far as CNN, ABC, NBC, CBS, like all of, besides the entertainment side of, I don't know what CNN is doing these days since Chris Licht is gone. But so the institutions that are still trying to be objective, how they choose to cover him will be important.
And I think it's interesting also, Don Jr. said this a couple of years ago, that the Republican Party is now Trump's party.
Yeah.
And I think that's accurate. I don't think the Republican Party exists anymore. And I think Trump supporters have authoritarian envy, like Viktor Orban in Hungary, and certainly Vladimir Putin in Russia, and even Kim Jong-un in North Korea. There's some dictator envy going on there. And I think there are a fair amount of Trump supporters who would love to see him be installed as permanent leader.
Which is interesting because, like, if you play that out, does that mean that those are people who want to live in a dictatorship?
Well, because they think everything's going to go their way. You're only going to hurt the people that we hate.
Yeah,
you're not going to hurt us.
Until they eventually come for you.
Oh, but there's no prior examples of that, is there?
Well, I think we're going to move on. This is enough doom and gloom for the day. Although we have a couple people on the line right now, so maybe we'll see if they want to add to the conversation. But I do want to just prep or plug what we're doing for the rest of the show, because it's not all going to be this. In the next segment, we are going to give away more state fair tickets. So if you would like, today is your last day, because I am going to Vegas tomorrow for my husband's 40th birthday with a group of friends. And so tomorrow and Friday will be reruns. And so this is our last day that we're giving tickets away at 10:50. So in the next segment, and we're also going to give tickets away again at the end of the show at 11:50. So if you would like to win those and you can't lose, you should call in then, 844-967-2789. And then in the second hour of today's show, if you've seen the Barbie movie, we want to hear from you, because I saw it over the weekend and I have thoughts. And I have thoughts on the cultural discourse that is happening because of that movie. And then we're going to have some fun, like it's a Friday at 11:30, because I want to hear your best and worst Vegas stories.
Oh, that should be good.
Are you a Vegas person? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Do you have any advice on being 7.5 months pregnant in Vegas when it's 110 degrees? So we will get to that at 11:30. But right now we have some more callers.
We do. 844-967-2789. Jeremy joining us from Wausau. Good morning, Jeremy. What do you think?
Well, you're talking about Trump being like an authoritarian. I don't really think that's his main goal. I mean,
what do you think his main goal is?
I personally think he did a lot of good things for the country. Biden, on the other hand, is really running us into the ground.
How is he? What is happening right now that you feel like we're being run into the ground?
The Department of Justice is very corrupt. Mr. Biden is very corrupt. I mean, I take it for what I see.
Jeremy, I'm curious to also, what did Trump do that you thought was so good for the country? He didn't build the wall. Mexico never paid for it. He didn't come up with come up with a replacement healthcare plan.
But
he didn't come up with an infrastructure plan.
Well, yeah, I know the whole COVID thing kind of threw a wrench in a lot of that.
which she also said was going to
First of all,
disappear, which she also said was going to disappear like a miracle.
What, COVID?
Yes.
Well, it literally did.
It disappeared like
That
a
was
miracle?
the biggest scam ever, too.
After 1 million Americans died?
Yeah, well,
There's also a COVID surge happening
a lot of
again right
people die
now.
from influenza, too.
You're aware that there's still a COVID surge right now. The number of hospitalizations is still rising for the first time since the beginning of 2023.
Right. Well, I mean, a lot of people die from influenza, too. Like, a lot of people. And for some odd reason, nobody had influenza for a whole year.
That's because we were wearing masks.
Masks don't do anything.
All right,
I mean,
Jeremy,
if you look at the
because we have another caller waiting, so I'd like to just get. So you are obviously going to vote for Trump. You're hoping that he becomes president again. So for you, none of these 78 charges matter.
A lot of it's a bunch of BS is what it is. Really.
So is there a reason why you are still you would still pick Trump over any of the other Republican nominees who are running?
Well, as we sit, I mean, there are other people I do like. I mean,
okay.
I'm not saying that he is like God or anything like everybody's saying, but I mean, he has the most knowledge to do the job. You know, and there are other candidates I do like. I mean, I'm not going to say him or nothing.
Okay, Jimmy, we have other callers we're going to get to, but thank you so much for your call.
Absolutely. 844-967-2789. We have Scott from Chicago on the line. Good morning, Scott.
Good morning. To what you mentioned earlier about McConnell acquitting Trump, saying it was Justice Department's problem, I agree with that. But kind of where we've gone now is factual reporting is seen as partisan reporting because it's so extreme, because that's what happened. Like, we are at this point of it seems partisan because it's so absurd, but the problem is the facts are so absurd that that's what it looks like.
Yeah,
Like,
well,
when
and it's
you look
also,
at-
I think when you just, I mean, if you take Jeremy's call, like, there's just also people who are so convinced of the information that they're getting, and there is so many different ways to get information that it becomes easy to point at other outlets and other sources to say, well, what about this? Or that's what this says. Like one of the stories I don't think we're going to get to today, but you know, Florida right now is contracting with PragerU University, which is admitted that they are trying to indoctrinate children with their short videos with a right-leaning ideology. And they're not accredited. And now Florida's just going to start, that's been approved. And so teachers can use it as part of their curriculum. And so when there's such a variety of sources out there that like you can pick and choose what you want, you can point to some kind of authority and say, well, they say this. And so I agree with you that it's like to even report the truth and try to do objectively, you get to the point where people could be like, well, no, that's so partisan because it doesn't agree with this other thing that I find that agrees with what I think. So we got to let you go, Scott, because we got one more call before I want to squeeze in before the break.
844-967-2789. Liz from the 262. Hey, Liz, what do you think?
If Trump is elected, I'm going to hang up my 15 by 3 foot Biden-Harris banners all 4 years that he's in office, just like the Trump supporters do around me.
Are you in Walker? Where are you?
I'm in Ozaukee.
Ozaukee, okay.
Counties.
Yeah, there's
that's
definitely
what
a couple. Definitely a couple big Trump signs that I see when I'm driving from Milwaukee to the studio in Waukesha, depending on which route that I take. And so, you know, good for you. And it is your right to do so if you want to keep that a Biden flag up.
Yep, that's what I'm going to do. It's going to be on our corners, so it will be lots of traffic. We'll be able to see it.
Perfect. I love it.
I love you both. I love your show.
Thank you so much, Liz. Thank you for the call.
That means everything to us, Liz. It really does. 844-967-2789. Again, John from the Falls, as long as there are voters that say Trump did great things and then can't name any of them and that claim that Biden is running the country into the ground and it can't explain any reason how or why they believe this to be true, our country is in big trouble.
Indeed. So, at least we're going to play when we come back. If you would like to win state fair tickets, we're going to lighten it up a little bit.
You can't lose.
You can't lose. Let's talk about state fair food. But also one piece of news that did drop this morning, lawsuit challenging Wisconsin's legislative maps to be filed at the state Supreme Court today. So that didn't take long. All right. This is As Goes Wisconsin. We'll be right back.
Hey, Racine and Kenosha. Civic Media and WRJN have landed your Green Bay Packers. Not only will you be able to hear your team run over the NFL this year, but now is your time to make your dream come true and be an official partner with the Green Bay Packers. One phone call is all it'll take to set up an appointment for Tuesday, August 1st and Wednesday, August 2nd. WAUK and WRJN will be around to talk to you and your company about how you can have your brand associated with not only the Packers, but the Badgers and local high school sports. And we'll also buy you lunch. What are you waiting for? Call Civic Media now at 608-819-8255 to secure an appointment for next week. Only a handful of Packers sponsorships left, so call us now. 608-819-8255. You don't want to miss out on a partnership that will be more profitable than your fantasy football team. 608-819-8255. This deal is a guaranteed touchdown. With one call, the Civic Media network of stations can deliver your business's message to the entire state of Wisconsin or your hometown. Marketing plans that work for your business. One call can do it all. Civic Media, 608-819-8255.
Missed your favorite show live on air? It's easy to find what you enjoy wherever you listen to podcasts, including Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts. And we're always streaming on TuneIn and the Civic Media app.
Here's your updated forecast on the Shaw. A mix of clouds and sun this afternoon with daytime highs approaching 87. Southwesterly winds 8 to 15 miles an hour. Partly cloudy tonight. Lows dip down to about 65. Sunshine mixed with clouds at times again tomorrow. Slight chance for scattered thunderstorms. High temperatures reach up to 90.
A little man walked up and down and found an eating place in town. He looked the menu through and through to see what 15 cents could do. One meatball, one meatball.
Welcome back to As Goes Wisconsin. I'm Kristen Bry. She's Jane McNair. What are we listening to?
That is One Meatball by Bing Crosby and the Andrews Sisters.
I'm surprised that wasn't in Lady and the Tramp.
That would be great.
I guess they shared a piece of spaghetti.
Yes.
Not a meatball.
Not a meatball.
They did. I think they moved the meatball towards one another with their
noses.
Nose.
It's about food.
It's about food because we're trying to give away state fair tickets. So if you would like, we do not have a caller right now. So if you would like to win state fair tickets, you can't lose. 844-967-2789. That's 844-96-PARTY.
Call now.
Call now. I'm going to give it 2 minutes and then I'm going to make Jane play instead. And so
I'll take the tickets. I think my husband and I want to go on Sunday.
This Sunday?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
But then as a reminder of what we have coming up for the rest of today's show, a reminder, tomorrow and Friday, I will be out. I'm going to Vegas to celebrate my husband and his twin sister's 40th birthday. So at 11:30 today, I want to hear your best and worst, or best or worst, Vegas stories. And so, do you love Vegas? Do you hate Vegas? Do you have advice for a 7.5-month pregnant woman? to
Who's
survive
going to
Vegas. And also, I found a video that says the unspoken travel rules. So we'll talk about which ones we agree with or not from that. And then also coming up in the next hour, at the top of the hour, we're going to talk about Barbie finally, and then we might let it go. But since I saw it, I feel like we got to talk about it. All right, 844-967-2789.
Doc from Milwaukee is our contestant. Good morning, Doc.
Good morning.
How you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Great. All right. So I will remind you of the rules of the game. I am going to read off 3 different descriptions of new foods you can get at the state fair. And you get to choose which one you would eat the entire thing once, what you would eat every day for the rest of your life, and what you will never eat and banish to hell. Got it?
Got it.
All right, Doc. All right. So the first one is a dill pickle donut. What started as an April Fool's Day joke has taken off. Welcome the dill pickle donut. Get ready to bite into this hand-cut, yeast-raised donut frosted with a dill pickle juice, whipped cream cheese, and topped with thick-cut dill pickles and a dill sprinkle. So that is option number 1.
These are torture items.
All right, option number 2, deep-fried chocolate-covered strawberry Twinkie. Deep-fried Twinkies served on a stick just got even better by adding chocolate-covered strawberries. Maybe not so bad. Decadent.
That's not horrifying.
All right, and the last one, Doc, is a pizzadilla, which I chose just because it's fun to say. Let me try to get the description. Oh,
Pizzadilla.
Pizzadilla. Well, why isn't the description coming up now? Come on. There we go. The pizzadilla is a grilled quesadilla, not to confuse with a quesadilla, filled with mozzarella cheese, pepperoni, sausage, and pizza sauce, served with a side of marinara sauce. All right, Doc, which one are you devouring the entire thing once?
The pickle one.
Really? You're gonna go for it? Do you like dill pickles?
Yeah.
All right, there you go.
Okay.
All right, which one are you gonna eat every day for the rest of your life?
The pizza.
That's a good choice.
Pizzadilla.
Pizzadilla.
I could go with that.
I actually feel like I could make that at home and be very satisfied. That means that you have no interest in the deep fried chocolate covered strawberry Twinkie.
No.
No judgment, Doc.
No judgment
None whatsoever. You can't lose this game.
Absolutely. All right, Doc, what is your favorite thing to do at the state fair?
Well, being that I'm a city slicker, I always enjoy going and looking at all the animals and getting up close and of course checking out all the food, the different food that you can get there. So I put a lot of miles on just walking.
Yeah, absolutely. It's also just the people watching.
It is. It's fantastic people watching.
It's such a cross section of our state in West Allis for 10 days.
Yep.
And it's wonderful. We'll have so much fun, Doc.
Don't hang up.
Don't hang up. Jane's going to get your information to make sure that we can get you these tickets. But thank you for listening and thank you for playing.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Well, we have one more chance to win at 11:50. So come back at the end of today's show to play that game. We got 3 more options. One I'm really interested to see who. There may be a vegan option.
Oh,
in
really?
the last one. So we'll see if anyone picks that. Or I feel like a lot of our callers have been very much on the brat cheese. I will eat that for the rest of my life choices.
We're still a little vegan shy, I feel.
I don't. All the Beyond Meat and Impossible Meat, I actually haven't eaten that much of it. I've heard it's pretty good. But I feel like when I choose a vegetarian or a vegan option, it's actually just not with replacement type
Meat.
substitutes.
Right.
It's just because it's
vegetables,
has enough protein or fat or avocado and stuff in it that it's just fine. And so I've not ventured as far into that. So, but I'm always impressed with what people can do with food.
Well, and I wish they would do something. I would like fried tofu. I would like
fried tofu is actually very good.
That's what I've heard. And I think if we try to introduce people to vegan like that, as opposed to the squishy, slimy, wet-looking tofu.
Like seitan and stuff like that.
I think they would be more successful.
I will say one of the jobs I had when I first got to Northern California. So I was living in Berkeley and I was commuting to San Francisco. That didn't last very long because I didn't have it was quite a commute for a $10 an hour hostess job.
Man.
At a restaurant, a pretty high-end restaurant called Millennium that was a vegan high-end restaurant in downtown San Francisco. And I will say the best part of that job though was the food. Like what these chefs could do there.
I bet.
Even though it was vegan, and the creativity and how good that food was, because I was part of one of the perks is you got to try all of the food that was on special for that night.
Nice.
But it was also very uppity. So I fared much better at the sports bar that I was also working at that was on campus where all I had to do was pour beers and talk crap to the guys who'd come in and try to hit on me. And it was a little more my speed
as opposed to
high-end dining.
Tonight's entree is served with, violet infused.
Do you have any allergies that we should be aware of?
Cucumbers.
That's very Wisconsin of me. All right. When we come back, we want to hear from you if you have seen the Barbie movie and what your thoughts are. I have my thoughts. Would love to hear from you. 844-967-2789. And also start thinking about those Vegas stories that you're willing to share. 844-96-PARTY. We'll be back after the top of the hour news. This is As Goes Wisconsin.
Meatball. Feed it to Frankie. You get no bread with one meatball. One meatball. One meatball. You get no bread with one meatball.
Always streaming on the Civic Media app. This is CBS News on the Hour, presented by Indeed.com.
I'm Steve Kathan. The possible legal strategy of former President Trump could be beginning to emerge a day after he was indicted in the investigation into the 2020 election. Trump attorney John Lauro on CBS Mornings says the former president's actions were based on what he was told at the time.
John Eastman, who's an eminent scholar, gave the president an option, actually several options. What the president said is, I'm going to take the option that asks Mr. Pence to pause the voting so we go back to the contested states and allow the states one last time to make a decision on that.
CBS's Scott McFarland.
This 45-page indictment lists 6 unnamed, uncharged co-conspirators. Sources close to the investigation say the indictment suggests lawyers Rudy Giuliani, John Eastman, Sidney Powell, and former Justice Department official Jeffrey Clark could be those potential co-conspirators. Though the special counsel has not confirmed the identities.
CBS's Nicole Killian is in Atlanta, where a prosecutor is also probing the election.
She continues to move full speed ahead as far as her investigation is concerned. We are in the midst of a window where District Attorney Fani Willis could announce a charging decision at any time, and we are seeing things being set into motion here.
From AAA to AA+, that's the credit rating drop for the U.S. from one of the key ratings services. CBS News business analyst Jill Schlesinger.
Economists say it's a little bit strange to see the downgrading of the U.S. credit rating at a time when the economy may be close to pulling off a soft landing. Fitch argues that there's been a, quote, erosion of governance because of the, quote, repeated debt limit political standoffs and last-minute resolutions.
On the Health Watch this morning, CBS's Jim Crisula tells us
artificial intelligence can accurately detect 20% more breast cancers from mammograms than traditional screening by radiologists. That's according to a new study from researchers in Sweden. It's considered the first randomized controlled trial to look at using AI in breast cancer screening.
Police in Vermont have charged the driver in a June accident that killed actor Treat Williams. Williams was on a motorcycle. Pope Francis in Portugal now for World Youth Day. This girl is among those who traveled there from the U.S.
Our group gets to see youth from all over the world, to connect with them and to bring our Catholic faith to everywhere else.
The organizers expect about 1 million people from more than 200 countries at the 5-day event. Wall Street, right now the Dow is down 265 points. This is CBS News.
Hire with minimal effort and max speed with Indeed. Their hiring solution platform helps you attract, interview, and hire candidates efficiently. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
The Civic Media Network of radio stations across Wisconsin. We are your hometown radio, refreshed.
With news on WAUK The Shaw, I'm Stuart J. Waddles. Deciding the future of 794 is now underway. The state DOT held its first public open house with hundreds of people expressing their opinions yesterday. The two main options being considered are keeping the 794 interchange or tearing it down and rebuilding city streets, both of which would take years to complete. The final design may be decided next year. Another open house will be held today to discuss options. The city of Waukesha has introduced the Crisis Response Unit, where a health clinician from Waukesha County will accompany police on certain calls. The team pairs a crisis clinician from HHS with a specially trained police officer to provide quicker and more effective help to individuals facing a mental health crisis. Officials say that will allow the right resources to respond. With news on WAUK The Shaw, I'm Stuart J. Waddles.
Attention taxpayers, ready for some bad news? With $80 billion in new funding from Congress, the IRS has launched their most aggressive hiring campaign ever to ramp up enforcement. If you're ignoring your taxes, don't delay another minute because your paycheck, your bank account, even your home or business could already be at risk. Now, here's the good news. Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax relief firm, can get to work immediately, helping to protect you from the IRS. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, their tax attorneys and licensed professionals are experts at resolving tax problems. Let them help determine if you qualify for the Fresh Start Initiative or other powerful IRS tax assistance programs. Take control. Call Optima Tax Relief now for a free consultation.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Flowers, vegetables, and crab apples, some of the first Marathon County Fair attractions, and showed us proof those crops could grow there. Started in 1868 by the Agricultural Society, the Wisconsin Valley Fair in Wausau began as a place to buy and sell those types of goods. Today, it's considered one of the best in the state, featuring displays, demos, and big-name entertainment included with the price of your ticket. The Wisconsin Valley Fair runs August 1st to the 6th in Wausau. For Civic Media, I'm Terry Barr.
Your home for local news, weather, and sports across the airwaves and all.
How many plays have you done over the years?
Oh, many. Many.
Would you do another one? Should we do a play? And put it up somewhere and do it as like a fundraiser someday?
That'd be great.
Show business like show business like show business I know.
Moving Wisconsin forward, one joke at a time, this is Kristen Bry with As Goes Wisconsin.
Yada, yada, yada.
Hello, Wisconsin! Hello, Wisconsin. Welcome to As Goes Wisconsin, the 11 o'clock hour, and our Friday, because we will be having reruns tomorrow and Friday, because I am headed to Vegas to celebrate my husband and his twin sister's 40th birthday. And I have joked that my gift to them is tolerating the heat and their drunken debauchery while 7.5 months pregnant in Vegas. And
You're
so
a good wife.
Don't expect anything else. But in the bottom of the hour, if you have a good Vegas story, we want to hear from you. But we also want to hear from you right now. Have you seen the Barbie movie? And if so, thoughts? 844-967-2789. And even more importantly, if there was going to be a supper club Barbie, what accessories would she come with?
Oh, that's a good question.
I had someone, I think I put a clip of when we talked to Professor Christine Whalen the Friday that it was coming out. And we were talking about Barbie and her cultural significance and everything. And someone left a comment on the TikTok clip that we put up that we need a supper club Barbie. And I was like, oh man, if I had the talent to go get a Barbie and make a little old fashioned and a little fish fry and maybe relish tray. I'm trying to think what else would supper club Barbie look like? Or what would she come with? And do you have any resources that I can make this happen so I can make a video about it? Because I really want to know. And normally I would say I'd just try to act. If I really had the time and the effort, I'd just go get a blonde wig and act out Supper Club Barbie. But that's a little ambitious right now. But 844-967-2789. Have you seen Barbie? If you have, what are your thoughts? Or what would Supper Club Barbie look like? 844-96-PARTY. Jane, you have not seen Barbie yet.
Not yet. I'm still going to wait a couple weeks.
You're waiting until it dies down. Although I will say we went on Saturday night at 5 and it was not a packed theater.
Oh, cool.
So
Maybe
you could probably, and a lot of the theaters now you can book your seats ahead of time, so you can see how full it's going to be.
That's all. Afternoon. Maybe I'll slide in some late afternoon. And
it is hot. Get out of the heat.
Yeah.
But I saw it over the weekend, and I was not alone. Barbie is now closed. Maybe by the end of this week, we'll have closed in and surpassed $1 billion. Wow. But 2 weekends in, and Greta Gerwig's global phenomenon has already grossed. This was as of Monday, $775 million at the international box office, putting it just days away from hitting the $1 billion mark. So no solo woman director has ever had a movie exceed that threshold. So
well done, Greta Gerwig.
Will be the first, and she's my age.
Yeah,
I don't think she's 40 yet.
No, she's still pretty young.
She's wildly talented. And Oppenheimer also had a really impressive second weekend. I'm still excited to go see that. I don't know when I'm going to be able to see it, but I liked it. I thought it was super fun. I thought, the message for me, I thought was really clever in the way that it was presented, and the things that it looked at. Was it for me revolutionary? No. For me, was it the most political movie I've ever seen? Certainly not. I would say you see any Adam McKay movie, and it's a lot more overt than I would say this movie is. But what it certainly is looking at, through the lens of dolls, the idea of one gender dominating. And in the world of Barbie, as the tagline says, Barbie is everything. He's just Ken.
He's a secondary character.
And that is, but this is the secondary character. I mean, this is the thing that's so funny to me about the conservative critique of this movie right now, is that Ken has a full character arc. He has a beginning, middle, and end. Barbie, not to give it away, but they have a come to Jesus moment as far as things that they understand about each other. And in so much of what the movie is, as far as where Ken and Ken's plural, start is that they only exist to serve Barbie, and they only feel validated with her attention versus having feeling like their full humanity of individuality and
Their own person.
being their own person and being valued. And the point of it, I see it as, that is sometimes how women get treated in our real world, right? And that we're saying both are bad. And it's not that men are bad. It's that this idea that your gender dictates your place in society is bad. And I think that's the thing that feels like is getting lost in the fray, is that like movies actually saying like, no, we want men to be fully realized humans as well, just like we want women to be. And so it's interesting just how much is getting, I don't know, is misconstrued in the movie and in the like cultural backlash that's happening. And I actually read a take this morning from a conservative writer who took his daughters, who were very excited to see it, and he was expecting to like roll his eyes and hate it, and it was fine. And he really said, he's like, I don't know why, and so it feels to me, and it's interesting because I was thinking about this in context of last week when we were talking about the Jason Aldean song, and like in a song that, was probably mediocre, but skyrocketed because of so much attention. And I don't know how much of that, like how many people who are subscribing to, are going to see it just because of the conservative critique of it. In the same way that like in the Jason Aldean song, I feel like people are embracing the song because of the backlash to it.
Oh, for sure.
Versus them just thinking like, oh, this is a great song. And I'm like, I wonder how much of this is just the same coin on the opposite side. And I don't think it's as much because that's a lot of money. It's a lot of money to spend to just go hate watch something, but or just do it out of spite for the conservatives of like, I'm going to see this movie because you told me not to, Ben Shapiro. And I'm not sure that's happening, but it is interesting as just hearing what the dismay is, and I certainly just don't get it. So if you've seen the movie and you didn't like it, or you saw the movie and you loved it, I would love to hear from you. 844-967-2789. Brady on the YouTube Live says, yes, I have seen Barbie twice. Seen it a third time this weekend. Big fan. Laughed out loud in the theater so much. I did laugh out loud.
Did you?
Yeah.
Well, that's always a good sign.
Well, and it's also what's fun about it is, I don't know, and this is why I liked it. I feel like it did lots of things. It, in one hand, paid homage to Barbie and all the weird Barbies that have existed. Like there was some deep cuts in there of Barbies that I didn't realize. I didn't remember there was a Midge Barbie that was pregnant.
Oh, she was pregnant?
She was pregnant.
What?
So Midge was pregnant and then she got discontinued. So I really missed my opportunity to dress as Midge.
Oh.
As we went with our friends, obviously. And so they had there was little tributes to, there was also at one point Barbie's dog that actually left little pellets and pooped.
Oh.
And so that was a part of the movie. And it was fun because some of them I did not remember, but I see this BuzzFeed article right now of all the weirdest Barbies that ever have come into existence. One of which was not in the movie, but is on this list, is Shaving Fun Ken, where literally I did have that one. And it was with water. It was some kind of erasable sticker on his face that if you shaved him, his beard went away and then it came back once it dried.
That's weird.
And so there was very deep cuts about the dolls themselves. But I also feel like what they did well was kind of goes back to what we talked about before I had even seen it with Professor Whalen, of the juxtaposition of what Barbie has been in our culture and in our world of on the one hand, they had this doll who, and this is how the movie, they talk about the fact that prior to Barbie, all of the dolls for young girls were baby dolls.
Yes.
And so somehow that's also saying by wanting a different doll besides a baby doll was anti-mother, which it's it's not. And so whatever. And so, at a time when, as we've said before, women couldn't have credit cards, women weren't buying their own houses, women weren't necessarily being pilots and CEOs and president. There was this doll that was literally doing all of those things. And so in like that is a very real conversation as far as like Barbie's empowerment simultaneously with the perfectionism and the unrealistic expectation of what Barbie looks like. And like they cover the gamut of that conversation in the movie, which in like a really clever way, which I think is, what else do you want from a Barbie movie?
Well, right.
Do you just want do you want it to be a kids movie where like Barbie just goes on an adventure? Which is fine. It's just a very different movie. And I don't know if that's what some people, I saw one critique that was like, well, this was a movie about Barbie made by people who hate Barbie. And I was like, I didn't take that away. I think it's a very thoughtful critique of one of the biggest cultural, like like
for sure,
like icons, for lack of a better word, of the last 80 years.
Oh, absolutely.
70 years?
Absolutely.
So I would love to hear your thoughts on this. 844-967-2789. I'll come back and I have some more of the weirdest Barbies and see if you remember those and some of the funniest tweets I've seen in reaction to the movie. So we will come back with that and your texts and your calls. 844-96-PARTY. We're talking Barbie. Let's go party. There you go. Good cue. This is As Goes Wisconsin.
Donate blood.
Take a selfie while giving blood, then post it along with #CivicPints. Give blood and you could get a prize too. Find challenge details and a donation center near you at civicmedia.us/giveblood. civicmedia.us/giveblood.
If you care about animals or crops, you probably care how the weather could impact both.
It's summer in Wisconsin, and the success of your efforts often depends on knowing the forecast. Count on your local Civic Media weather team for all the information you need.
Crops' roots are also growing deeper in search for water, which is bad news because when rain finally falls, it will sit shallow and be absorbed in the top layers of the soil.
Your weather and more for your part of Wisconsin.
On your local Civic Media radio station and streaming on the app.
This summer, 540 AM WAUK has a new lineup.
Yes, that's awesome.
Starting at 6 a.m. Up North News, 8 to 10, The Earl Ingram Show. Mondays, 8 to 9, Under the Helmet with the Grave Digger. Gilbert Brown and Earl Ingram. 10 to 12, As Goes Wisconsin. At noon, Civic Media Network News. At 12:15, Town Call. 1 to 3, The Todd Alba Show. 3 to 4, Matt Flynn Direct. 4 to 6, The Devil's Advocates with Dom and Crute. And 6 to 7, The Maggie Dawn Show. On 540 AM WAUK.
Here's your updated forecast on the Shaw. A mix of clouds and sun this afternoon with daytime highs approaching 87. Southwesterly winds 8 to 15 miles an hour. Partly cloudy tonight. Lows dip down to about 65. Sunshine mixed with clouds at times again tomorrow. Slight chance for scattered thunderstorms. High temperatures reach up to 90. For Civic Media, I'm meteorologist Derek Height.
Is Jane Madnair. Reminder that we are giving away our last set.
Yes.
I guess 2 to 4 tickets for the state fair at the end of the show at 11:50. So if you would like to win those, call back then 844-967-2789.
You can't lose.
You can't lose. It's only fun.
It's the best game.
We have to figure. Maybe we'll figure out other ways to keep it going. I like that. The
Games that we can't lose.
Games you can't lose. Instead of just trivia questions where people feel bad if they don't have the right answer. We were talking about Barbie, and I'm asking if you've seen it and what your thoughts are of it, or your general thoughts. I mean, because it is in the conversation. It's in the news every day as far as someone else has opinions on it or thought pieces on it, and people's reaction to it, and what the numbers are, and so it is as big as a Marvel movie.
Oh, yeah.
And, it's interesting as far as some of the critique that's been is like, well, it's like super capitalist. It's like, what do you think every superhero does? You don't think every Disney movie has the like millions of dollars of merch and toys and stuff that goes with it? Star Wars do you know how much stuff exists as far as like things you can buy in like place of like in part of celebrating the movie? Like, this is what we do. It's just most of that is gender neutral or for boys. It doesn't happen very often. That is very feminine. 844-967-2789.
Mike from Sheboygan has been hanging on the line. Good morning, Mike. Did you see Barbie?
No, I haven't seen it, but my adult daughter and I got into a big discussion about it because I called her up and I was like, so, last I remember Barbie was a bad thing because it gave little girls a bad attitude as to how they should be. I said, I know they did a bunch of stuff to make it not a bad thing. I said, but all of a sudden Barbie's a good thing. And she's like, well, Dad, actually, it's not a child's movie. It's PG-13.
Mm-hmm.
So she sent me a bunch of clips here and there. And she's right. There's a lot of adult comedy in there. So it's not really a child's movie. And from the clips I've seen, I look at more as like, it's more like a Talladega Nights for how NASCAR people looked at Talladega Nights. So
that's an
Barbie
interesting
people,
comparison.
the Barbie movie, it's kind of like a tongue-in-cheek type thing.
That's an interesting comparison. I would say Talladega Nights was more satire / parody.
Yes.
But I say that as someone who's not a NASCAR fan. So it's like, I don't understand. I wouldn't have been able to good judge of how much is making fun of NASCAR versus making fun and celebrating NASCAR. Because I would say Barbie's doing both. Like, there's certainly things of making fun of like I said, like all the weird Barbies that have existed and that like got discontinued, while also like the conversation around it. So after your discussion with your daughter, did it make you want to go see it?
No, I don't really want to go see it because I'm not a big movie. I'm not a big movie go seer anyway because of the expense of it and all that.
That's fair.
I mean, and it is. Come on, it's Barbie. I'm a dude. Would I take my 12 or 13-year-old granddaughter if she really wanted to see it? Nobody else would. Yeah, probably.
Okay.
No, I'm not going to see it. I was just talking with my daughter about, I thought Barbie was bad. And all of a sudden Barbie's good. People will make up my mind for me. And then she just informed me that, well, no, they're not saying Barbie's good. It's kind of a satire movie, Dad. And, after seeing the clips, I'm like, well, this is sort of like Barbie lovers are going to look at this sort of the same way NASCAR fans looked at Talladega Nights. Someone will be like, no, we're not like that at all. And the others will be like, oh, no, we're exactly.
That's great.
Nose. Thanks so much for the call, Mike.
All right.
Have a great day. That's a really interesting comparison.
It is.
As far as any of those types of movies where you are, and I kind of think about that. Of course, where my mind just went to now is almost like exactly what so much of like Charlie Barron's humor is. It is both the celebration of and the recognition of Wisconsin culture, while
making a couple jokes.
And it's what's funny about it is the fact that you can see yourself inside of it, and that guy, or you're related to that guy who says those things or does those things. And so because he's from here and he's of that, he can make those jokes where it's not offensive and making fun of Wisconsin culture. He's in on the joke.
Yeah, don't be doing that if you're from Illinois. It probably may not.
There's still Midwest culture. Don't be doing it if you're from like Connecticut.
For sure.
or California. If you don't know, if you can't point to Wisconsin on a map, you can't make those jokes.
Absolutely.
But I thought I saw a roundup of some of the great tweets as far as response tweets, X's, whatever the heck they're called now. But I thought this was interesting. It said, look, I don't think Barbie was or needed to be subversive, but I will say that, no, not that. This is not the one that I wanted. There was one about Barbie is not particularly feminist. Oh, there was one about, well, now it's gone. What's going on with X? Why can't I find it? It was basically saying how are you going to say that Barbie is anti-man, but Oppenheimer is fine? Sorry, but who killed more men? It's a little dark, but it's true.
Well, yes, that would be accurate.
And so it's funny that every pink-covered woman at this theater greeted one another with enthusiastic "Hi, Barbie," and I feel like I've transcended from this plane to a feminist dreamscape. Hello. And so but also, if Barbie is too feminist for you, might I recommend almost every other movie ever made?
Good point.
I can't believe Barbie made. I can't believe they made Barbie woke. All the boys were into Barbie before they had to go and make it political.
What?
She's joking.
Okay.
And so
you never know these days.
But it's also there's one that makes it's like Barbie also was always been before we had the term woke. I mean, she's always been inclusive. Like the first Black Barbie predate was a long time ago, and so it's literally been decades of trying to make dolls that appeal to as many people as possible. And so the idea that Barbie was ever about like being a trad wife is missing the point. All right. Well,
This summer, 5:40 a.m. WAUK has a new lineup. 4 to 6, The Devil's Advocates with Dom and Cruz. 6 to 7, The Maggie Dawn Show on 5:40 a.m. WAUK.
CBS News brief. Former President Trump indicted in the federal 2020 election case. His attorney, John Lauro, on CBS Mornings.
What the president wants to do is absolutely defend himself on these baseless charges. The president wants to stay in court, but most importantly, he wants to get to the truth, which we will do in this case.
A Pittsburgh jury has reached a decision on the sentence for the synagogue shooter, death or life in prison. It will be announced soon. Fitch Ratings has downgraded the U.S. government's credit rating. CBS's Jill Schlesinger.
This may not seem like a big deal, but the downgrade of the credit rating is essentially an indictment of the United States' ability to repay its debts.
CBS's Ramy Inocencio in Ukraine today on the latest round of Russian attacks.
As many as 10 Russian drones targeted Kyiv. The mayor said anti-aircraft units took them all out, but debris did fall over several districts.
Wall Street stocks are lower today. CBS News Brief. I'm Steve Kathan.
Local radio for your community. Civic Media broadcasting across the state of Wisconsin.
With news on WAUK The Shaw, I'm Stuart J. Waddles. Poor management is being blamed for the closure of a national company with local hubs.
Almost 200 Milwaukee employees of the trucking company Yellow were going to be reassigned to Oak Creek. However, they're now out of work. The massive trucking company isn't making enough money, is filing for bankruptcy, and shutting down. That impacts 30,000 workers across the country. Pete Schwabe, Civic Media News.
A Germantown man and former CEO of a real estate investing business has been sentenced to 16 months in federal prison for defrauding over 20 people, resulting in at least $2.2 million in losses. The Wisconsin State Fair starts tomorrow at the fairgrounds in West Allis. Headliners include Alabama, REO Speedwagon, and Ludacris. The fair runs until next Sunday. With news on WAUK The Shaw, I'm Stuart J. Waddles.
Hey, this is Matt from Design Garden.
Remember when the internet was new? Back then, you had to leave your house to start a business. Companies used to pay programmers bags of cash to get online. Now, small businesses can get online with a Facebook business page, or Squarespace, or Google My Business, or WordPress. But which tools should you use? Can you afford to go down the wrong path? Design Garden uses modern tools to build your website the right way. Find us online at design.garden. Again, that's design.garden.
Hey, Racine and Kenosha, Civic Media and WRJN have landed your Green Bay Packers. Not only will you be able to hear your team run over the NFL this year, but now is your time to make your dream come true and be an official partner with the Green Bay Packers. One phone call is all it'll take to set up an appointment for Tuesday, August 1st and Wednesday, August 2nd. WAUK and WRJN will be around to talk to you and your company about how you can have your brand associated with not only the Packers, but the Badgers and local high school sports. And we'll also buy you lunch. What are you waiting for? Call Civic Media now at 608-819-8255 to secure an appointment for next week. Only a handful of Packers sponsorships left, so call us now. 608-819-8255. You don't want to miss out on a partnership that will be more profitable than your fantasy football team. 608-819-8255. This deal is a guaranteed touchdown.
Well, I started out down a dirty road. Started out.
Welcome back to As Goes Wisconsin. I'm Kristen Bry. She is Jane Madnair, and I am about to step into the sauna.
Yes.
Let's see. How hot is it supposed to be in Vegas this weekend?
110?
Let's see. Right now it's 85 degrees, but it's also only 9:30 and no, 8:30. It's 9:30. Is it 2 hours behind us? I don't know. Let's see what the heat. So high of 100 tomorrow, high of 101 on Friday, high of 103 on Saturday when we come home.
Woof.
Woof. Yes, but I am going to Vegas. We're leaving this afternoon. My husband is turning 40 along with his twin sister, and they spent their 30th birthday in Vegas, so they thought they would do a repeat. I'm hoping that it does not look as what I've heard was as debaucherous as their 30th birthday, because everyone's hangovers are a lot worse now. And I obviously can only partake in so much because I don't like gambling. I'm a big fan of my money. I can't party, which is what I would normally do because, you know, the baby's still in there.
She's still baking.
I am going to go to the spa.
That'll be nice.
We're going to have a pool day, and I insisted that we get a cabana so I can get out of the heat if needed.
Absolutely.
And in general, I'm sure it'll be a good time. We have a really fun group of friends going, but it made me interested in hearing your best or worst Vegas stories. Maybe something at the time that was very fun is looking back at it now is a little embarrassing. But 844-967-2789. What are your thoughts on Vegas? It's not for everyone. Some people love it. Some people hate it. But certainly my first time ever in Vegas, what I'll remember, it was the summer I was moving from Los Angeles to Berkeley. And my group of friends in LA, we had rented a houseboat on Lake Mead.
Oh, nice.
And we spent one night in Vegas before we drove from LA to Vegas, spent one night there, and then went to got our houseboat, which was very, very fun.
I bet.
But I remember it, not that LA was cheap. Maybe just the places that we went in LA were cheap. I was 22 and I bought a round of shots because we were at some club. And my 22-year-old brain went to go pay for 4 shots, and it was $75. And I was like, excuse me, what?
Oh my God.
And this was 2008, so I can only imagine what 75? What it was like. I think it was 4 shots of chilled Patron, and it was $75. And
Wow.
I was like, I'm a broke college student. I can't pay for this. Help me, I'm poor. And that was like my entry. I was like, I'm not buying drinks for the rest of the night. I'll just be not hungover tomorrow. And Vegas has never been like my go-to place. Cause like I said, I don't really gamble. And I know there's good shows. We're not seeing any shows this time around, but I would love to hear from you. 844-967-2789 on either your best or your worst Vegas story. Do you have any good Vegas stories?
I've only been there twice.
Okay.
And the first time was after my father passed away, and he and my mother used to go to Vegas once a year. That was what they did, and loved it. And just for a long weekend. And so a couple of years after he was gone, some of my brothers and sisters and I took mom out there for a weekend, which was fine. And then at one point I was meeting a friend from California in Vegas. And I was on my own for the first night because he wasn't coming until the next day. And I don't gamble. I'm like you. I like my money.
And it's also, I don't know how, like, I don't know.
And that's
I
part
feel
of it
I have
too.
no confidence of like, I know what I'm doing to
Right.
feel like I have any edge in this whatsoever, even though you don't, because the house always wins.
Right. So because I'm the same way with you. Blackjack intimidates me. All of the card games intimidate me. So I went and hung around the craps table.
Okay.
And I thought, I'll just pretend that I know what I'm doing. And I did whatever the guy who was winning on the table. So I just did what he did. But in the lead up to that, there's a big slot in the middle of the table where you give them your 50 or your 100 or whatever, and they put it down in the slot and then they give you the chips. Do you remember the scene from Ghost where Patrick Swayze has got a check for like $4 million from this person who helped murder him? Anyway, he gives the check to Whoopi Goldberg and he makes her give it to nuns.
Oh, yeah.
And she's like, that's my, and he's like, give him the check. And so she finally gives them a check. That's how I felt when my $50 was going down that slot.
That you were giving it to nuns?
No, that I was just like, no, I can't. Don't make me give this to you. It's bad. It's bad. I want my 50 back.
Did you win anything?
No. I'm sure I did. This is a long time ago. I must have done well enough to stay alive for a little bit.
Okay.
But as you said, ultimately, you play long enough, the house will win.
Yeah.
That's why it's really hard to bankrupt a casino. I'm just throwing that in.
Yeah. And well, supposedly that is, people who have gambling addictions or, more specifically what I've heard of when Michael Jordan was kind of in his prime. And it's like, he was such a competitive person that he literally thought he could beat the house.
Oh, that's just
and that's
crazy.
why like he would go so far. Cause he's like, I'm going to come back. Cause like that, like competitor mentality, it's like, buddy, it's not set up like that. The game is rigged. But yeah, I think everyone we're going with has said that they have a limit. Like they're leaving their debit card at home.
Well, that's good.
And there's like, they're bringing X amount of cash, that this is their gambling money. And once it's gone, it is gone.
You got to stick with that.
And so, but yeah, so I'm interested in, if you have any good Vegas stories, if you ever won a ton of money, lost a ton of money, got married in Vegas.
Was that a mistake?
Yeah. 844-967-2789. But it was also my last time being on a plane until this kid comes. And so my doctor.
What did she say?
So I'll be 30 as of today. I'm 30 weeks pregnant today. And I had my doctor, my most recent doctor's appointment last week. And I'm friends with my doctor, but she said, so just so you know, I have to tell you this. If baby comes in Vegas, baby stays in Vegas.
Don't bring her back?
Well, no, if she's 10 weeks early.
Oh.
You can't just bring your kid home because you don't live there. Like it's going to be in a Vegas hospital until she's ready to travel. And she's like, you have no risk signs to say that that's going to happen. Everything looks good. But like, I have to tell you.
Oh, for sure.
That if you go into labor 10 weeks early, like, you're not coming home. Like you're staying in a Vegas hospital with your kid. And I was like, okay, good to know. So we are running that risk, but my compression socks are packed and I am planning to walk the aisles like she told me to on the plane.
Keep
Luckily,
the
it's
circulation going.
for the circulation going. Luckily, it's not that far of a flight, but doing the things that they told us to do. So
844-967-2789, 844-96-PARTY. Tom from Cedarburg. Good morning, Tom. What do you want to share with us?
Hi, ladies. Well, my youngest brother was in Vegas about 10 years ago, and he met a gal at the bar at one of the casinos, and he came home with her. And she was supposedly an attorney and was going to pay her way. Well, she never paid a dime for the next year that she stayed with him. And yeah, and could she drink too? Oh my God!
So wait, he brought her home from Vegas, and she moved in with him, and he just paid for her for a year.
Yeah.
How did it end?
She went back, I think, and met a sister of hers that I think lived out there or something like that. But she was half Russian and half German or something. And boy, could she drink? Unbelievable.
She knew how to spend other people's money.
Well, and coming from a Wisconsinite, Tom, that this woman can drink, that is really saying something.
That is saying something. So wait, how did was everyone trying to warn your brother? Be like, buddy, what are you doing? Was he just like smitten and thought he was in love with her?
Well, she could talk, and she was quite shapely and very good looking and real smart.
Okay.
But she never worked a day when she lived with him. But she always promised she would, but it never happened.
And did he finally?
Nothing happened.
Did he finally just get
when you meet
fed
someone
up
at the bar? You know.
Yeah. Did he finally just get fed up and said, "You have to go"?
Yes, that's finally what it came to. And,
okay. Well,
and
it was quite interesting.
That is interesting.
And is he single to this day?
Yes, but he has a son now, so things are much different. So.
All right. That is
that's a good story, Tom.
Buyer beware of who you pick up in Vegas and who you bring home from Vegas. Thanks so much for the call, Tom.
844-967-2789, 844-96-PARTY if you want to check in.
Well, and some of the other things I found this. So since I am getting on a plane, do you have any rules, like unspoken rules that you know, like, because you're getting on a plane at the end of the month, you're going on a much longer flight than I am.
We're going overseas.
You're going to Europe. Are there any rules of airplane etiquette that you abide by?
Well, and this is going to sound really odd, and it is really odd. But my husband, we always fly coach.
Okay.
And we always request the last seat in coach.
Like by the bathrooms?
Yes. Because that means no one can kick the back of our chairs.
Got it.
I don't have to worry about infringing on the person behind me, their space.
Most of those seats I didn't think you could recline from.
I mean, it's not, but reclining in those seats, I don't think is very restful
anyways.
I don't, and usually there's only two. So nobody gets stuck in the middle, which is a curse when you fly.
Huh. That's an interesting hack.
Yeah.
Do you ever have a situation where the bathroom is a little smelly?
Hasn't been a problem in all these years.
All right.
And trust me, if we had the money, that would not be my choice because flying is now torture.
I know.
It used to be fun, but flying
coach
is not fun.
I think my brother, who has lots and lots of miles on United, so he's constantly either getting upgraded to business or first class or something. I think his last trip from New York, maybe it was New York to Milwaukee, I don't know, one of his last flights, he just sounded like such a
Was he crappy?
D-bag, because he was like, he had to ride coach and he was just like, I can't believe people travel like this. Oh my gosh.
Yes, it's because it's expensive.
It is expensive, but do we have time to play a couple of there was a CNN video of unspoken rules when you're traveling on a plane, and I was interested, you and I could say which ones we agree with and which ones we were like, I don't know.
Take a listen.
There are definitely unspoken rights on an airplane seat. The window seat is pretty simple, gets the right to the window. If they would like the shade up, they keep the shade up. The aisle seat cannot tell the window seat person to put the shade down.
Agree.
I would agree with that.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I have
I
no
think you
problem
can
with that.
ask politely, but it's ultimately up to the person in the window seat.
Yes.
What they want to do.
Yes, it is. Number 2.
The aisle seat, this is my favorite seat. I love it because I can be a free range passenger. It feels like I have more space.
You just got to watch out for the cart.
See, I feel like I've now that I travel with Mike, since he has longer legs, he gets the aisle seat. But you do have to watch out for the cart.
Yeah.
I think I might get the aisle seat today, though, because I'm the one who has to get up and walk the aisles.
I
So
think that's a wise
I
move.
have not told him that yet, but we'll see.
All right, number 3.
The middle seat, they get anything they want, namely 2 of the armrests. If the window seat and the aisle seat people have their arms here, you do have every right just to kind of slowly push them off.
I think that's dangerous.
I think that's dangerous. When I saw that one, I was
Ooh.
like, how do you passive aggressively push your arms against strangers and say, no,
It's mine.
the armrests are mine? I don't know. That one feels, yeah.
And I'm going to go with one hard and fast rules that a guy named Tom Nichols says on Twitter all the time: no bare feet.
And no clipping your toenails.
No. Boy.
All right, 844-967-2789. We got 2 to 4 more tickets to give away. If you want to play for State Fair tickets, call now, 844-96-PARTY. This is As Goes Wisconsin.
I'm learning to fly, but I ain't got wings. Coming down is the hardest thing. I'm learning to fly.
Only have one expectation, that everybody gets stronger. When I say get stronger, I'm not referring solely to physical strength. Sure, we'll be in the weight room, we'll be running stairs, but we're also going to focus on developing mental toughness and grit, because those are the characteristics that allow us to achieve greatness both on and off the court. So how do we develop those things? By getting comfortable with a challenge, by cultivating the confidence necessary to overcome adversity in all forms. That's why I coach. That's my purpose. Every member of this team can lean on me, and I'll teach them how they can lean on themselves and each other.
This message presented by the WIAA and the Wisconsin Athletic Directors Association.
She's the newest of 7 elected Wisconsin Supreme Court justices. Janet Protasiewicz begins her 10-year term in August when she is sworn in. It's a long-time tradition which includes use of the court's seal created in 1848. But did you know it features the scales of justice, but not carried by a blindfolded Greek goddess? Instead, a hand holds the scales, representing justice is in human hands. It also means everything is official once the seal is stamped on any court documents. For Civic Media, I'm Terry Barr.
Here's your updated forecast on the Shaw. Sunshine mixed with clouds at times this afternoon, with daytime highs approaching 87. Southwest winds 8 to 15 miles an hour. Lows dip down to about 65 tonight. Partly cloudy skies. A mix of clouds and sun again tomorrow. Slight chance for scattered thunderstorms. High temperatures reach up to 90. For Civic Media, I'm meteorologist Derek Height. Currently, it's 77.
He likes bread and butter. He likes toast and jam. That's what baby feeds him. He's a loving man.
Welcome back to As Goes Wisconsin. I am Kristen Bry. She is Jane Madnair. And we are rounding out this week's final show, because it's going to be a rerun tomorrow and Friday. We'll be back on Monday with giving away a couple more State Fair tickets, because it starts tomorrow.
Yes.
So who do we have on the line?
Sue from Franklin. Good morning, Sue. Welcome to As Goes Wisconsin.
Good morning.
Good morning. All right. So I will remind you how we play this game. I have picked 3 different new foods that are introduced to, they're new this year. And you, after I give you the description of all three, will pick one that you're going to eat the entire thing once, one you're going to eat every day for the rest of your life, and one you are going to never eat and banish to hell. Got it?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Number 1, the maple bacon turtle on a stick. This thing looks, if only I could show you a picture of it.
What is it bad?
Whew, a Wisconsin twist on Freeze's famous turtle on a stick. The maple bacon turtle on a stick is a pretzel stick resting on salted pecans, topped with homemade caramel and milk chocolate, along with freshly smoked and caramelized bacon from Double B's Barbecue, a local West Dallas business, and a maple flavor drizzle. So that is number 1, maple bacon turtle on a stick. The next one is a drink, the Ferris Mule. The Ferris Mule is a non-alcoholic mule crafted with fresh blackberries, ginger beer, freshly squeezed lime juice, and agave nectar, all of which is handshaken and poured over ice. Garnished with fresh blackberries, a rosemary sprig, and lime wheel, the Ferris Mule takes a summer classic drink and elevates it with a fresh fair time twist.
Wow, that's really complicated.
It's this is a mocktail that I could drink that I would maybe be on board with.
That's true.
All right. And the final one, pretty straightforward, vegan brat slider. Pickled onions and house-made slaw with a plant-based barbecue brat. All right, Sue, which one are you eating the entire thing once?
Wow, that's a lot of sugar in those first two. I think I would probably I would eat the first one.
So you eat the first one, but eat the maple bacon turtle on a stick, one-time treat, even if you go into a diabetic shock.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, great. And then which one are you eating every day for the rest of your life?
I would have to take the drink every day. I'm not going to say that I wouldn't maybe slip some vodka in there sometimes, but
good for you,
just to give it a little more oomph,
Yeah.
Right.
No one's telling you can't
maybe
do
not
that.
every day, but
So you have no interest in ever having the vegan brat slider?
never. That does not even sound Mm-mm.
Have you had any of the Impossible meat or the Beyond Meat, or have you ever tried any of that stuff?
I think so. Yeah. At some point, I think some of them are okay, but yeah, the other one just didn't sound very good.
See, and for me too, I think if I didn't know what it was, I would be more inclined to have an open mind.
If someone just lied to you?
If someone just said, here's a great burger, we just made these great burgers. And then I would be, more inclined to try it with an open mind. But once I know that it's tofu or whatever, or, some weird
Is that how you feel about the camel fries, like the camel cheese fries? Had you not known it was camel meat, you think you would have gone for it?
Is it camel toes?
I don't know. It's just camel meat. Remember that was one of the options. Sue, would you have are you any interest in trying the camel cheese fries?
Yeah, no, I heard that yesterday. I thought, no, I don't think I could get past it, knowing what it was.
Well, to be fair, the one that you're going to have for the rest of your life, the Ferris Mule, that won the Drinkies. So there's the Sporkies, and this was the first year that they also had another complimentary competition for the best drinks, and the Ferris Mule won. So maybe when you go with your tickets, you'll have to try one out and maybe sneak some of your little vodka in there.
Maybe.
What's your favorite thing to do at the fair, Sue?
I think just walk around and people watch. We haven't been in a couple years, so I'm kind of excited to check it out. My husband and I both retired now, so we have nothing to do next week,
Awesome.
And is there anything that you always eat when you go to the fair, Sue?
I think corn and drink a beer.
Yeah.
My husband is real big on the baked potatoes.
Oh.
Which is
yeah, those are good.
Which is not like you can always get a baked potato, but that's his thing. He's got to have the baked potato, which is good.
No, everyone's got their thing. Don't yuck anyone's yum.
I'm not yucking on the baked potato. Yeah.
All right, Sue. Thank you so much for listening and playing and calling in. I hope you have so much fun. Jane's going to get your information, but can't wait to hear how much fun you have. All right. Well,
great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. Well, that'll about do it for today. The one last thing we didn't get to, which I think will be interesting, that I'm sure other shows will talk about, but as the Derek Van Orden stuff has not, it's still in the news, and it's interesting.
As it should be.
Do you think so?
Yes.
Why am I just kind of like...
Because his behavior was deplorable.
It was deplorable, but it's
for an adult
and I
who
think
is a member of Congress.
I think it's the fact that he also won't just mea culpa and like say
I had
screwed
too
up.
much. I had too much to drink, and I screamed at a bunch of kids.
And because I think he canceled something yesterday that he was supposed to do a press conference and didn't do it. But now Brian Stile, Republican, is consulting with Capitol Police about surveillance footage of Van Orden of his confrontation with teenage Senate pages. And so I am kind of surprised that there hasn't been any. That maybe we'll get to see a video about this.
Well, and it's my understanding that Mark Pocan is the one who wrote to Stile saying, hey, you guys were willing to turn over all this security footage from January 6th to Fox News. I think we should see just how up in these kids' faces our elected representative got.
Actually was. So it'll be interesting. We'll see if that unfolds in the next couple of days. But I don't know. I'm surprised. I guess I'm just a little surprised it's still in the news.
Well, things do cycle by pretty quickly. But again, I think it was, even if you're on the opposite side of the aisle, that is just not acceptable behavior for an adult.
I know,
who's
but
an elected official. We should.
I'm not making excuses for him.
No,
I'm just in the range of things of bad behavior that comes and goes of people. Like it makes news for a second and then it's on to the next thing. That's more of what it is. Is like I'm surprised that this is stuck compared to all of the other bad behavior we typically have been hearing about coming out of Congress.
But that's because he's from Wisconsin.
So you think it's just, you don't think they're talking about this in Missouri?
No. I think it's because we're from Wisconsin and we don't like that.
That's probably true.
What happened? We still want to believe Wisconsin nice, right?
Which I do believe in, but that's also a big shock there that I believe in that. All right. Well, we will be back on Monday, but we'll have some good reruns tomorrow and Thursday. Thank you for calling. Thank you for texting. Thank you for being part of the show and listening every day. We couldn't do this show without you. Come back Monday when we'll be live again. This has been As Goes Wisconsin.